We've been traveling the world full-time for the last 593 days. I know, insane. But today we wanted to share with you some lessons and travel tips that we learned on this epic trip and that might make it easier for you to plan your big adventure. You will make many new friends and lose them again. One of the most amazing things while you're traveling is how easy it is to make friends. There are so many situations where you can just talk to anyone, even total stranger, because of the circumstances, like sharing a hotel kitchen or being on a tour together. And also it's surprisingly easy to form really strong bonds with people very quickly. There is just something about being in a foreign place that really makes you open up to others who are in a similar situation. But the sad news is you will most likely lose those new friends even quicker than you made them. Even amongst people traveling open-end, everyone still kind of has their own plans. And it's pretty rare to find someone you can spend more than a couple days with. And even if at some point you will have to split up again, and most likely your homes are just too far away from each other to really maintain a friendship afterwards. Don't budget too hard. Now, the level of budget travel you are okay with will obviously be very different for everyone, but there definitely is a fine line between saving some money and going over the top with budgeting. If you reach a point where you are not enjoying your trip anymore, it's probably better to spend a little more money and go home a little sooner. It's also important to keep in mind that if you're traveling for a pretty long amount of time, you will want some comfort eventually. I feel like almost anything is acceptable if it's only for a 4-day trip, but not if it's for a month or even a whole year. The other thing that, in our opinion, you should never compromise on for the sake of saving a couple dollars is your health and your safety. Spending a little more on food will often get you the healthier option, and regarding safety, especially in places like Latin America, it might really be worth it to actually stay in the right part of town or take that short flight instead of an overnight bus. Plan ahead. Don't book ahead. This massively depends on the season and destination, but what we found to be the best middle ground between pre-booking it all and just being spontaneous is to make plans, but don't book anything. It can actually make your travels so much easier to plan ahead. Think about where you want to go, what itinerary for that country could actually make sense, and roughly what to see in those places. This way, you will also be less likely to miss out on something. However, booking ahead can do more harm than good, because your plans will change. It's just a fact. It happens all the time, and having to reschedule and cancel a dozen hotel bookings is the most annoying thing. Stuff like illness, bad weather, delays, sometimes even for days, just happen, and your travel preferences might also change, so keep it open if you can. No need to speak the language. So many people worry about this, even to a point where they don't go because they fear not being able to communicate. And honestly, it's no big deal. We live in the 21st century. We have smartphones, we have Google Translate. You can even scan things if they are in a foreign alphabet or using characters instead of letters. And also, people are super nice and helpful everywhere in the world, and they will usually know what you need, especially if you're in a touristy place, which usually you will be. You can always show what you're looking for on your smartphone or in your guidebook, and at the very least, they will be able to point you in the right direction. With that being said though, do learn a couple words. It's really basic politeness to be able to say hi and thank you in the local language. It's your trip and no one else's. Everyone will have opinions about your trip. They will tell you how to plan for it, where to go, how long to stay away, and even, if not especially, what to do and see once you have arrived. This is even more true if you are active on social media, where people will always comment on the travel choices you make, especially if you skip on things. People often fail to realize that being on a longer trip is very different from going on a holiday, and that your needs will therefore be different as well. Meaning, maybe you don't want to go and see another beach in Australia. Maybe you have already visited 724 temples and don't need to see this one. Maybe you need a full 2 weeks to relax, reset, and recover from your latest food poisoning. Make your own needs and wishes the priority. Staying in touch with your loved ones is hard. So There's the obvious issue like different time zones, your friends at home still have their jobs and their other responsibilities, and you are busy traveling. Also, sadly, a good internet connection is really hard to find in some places. Even apart from all of those issues though, it can be really hard to connect with loved ones back home in the same way you did before your trip, because your life at that moment is just so different, and listening to someone complain about their job that they have been complaining about for years can be a little bit frustrating. We have also heard from our friends that they sometimes don't want to reach out because they don't want to bother us on our trip, which is obviously ridiculous. We very much want to be bothered. Cooking your own meals is the key to staying healthy. There is so many benefits to cooking at home, but also while traveling. You can control all the ingredients that go into your food and make sure that they are properly cooked and therefore avoid food poisoning. And you can also easily choose to cook healthy meals. Eating healthy while eating out can be super hard. It's often impossible to know about the ingredients, and many things will be fried or full of sugar. In many places, it will also save you a lot of money to at least some of the time cook yourself. Find strategies to pass the time. This probably sounds super weird, but traveling around the world can be so boring. You will spend so much time being on buses, waiting for trains, waiting at the airport, waiting for your taxi, waiting for your tour to start, and all of that fun stuff. So do try to make use of that time. That can mean reading, downloading podcasts, audiobooks are also great, or researching for your next destination. But it could also just be entertainment that will make the time pass, like downloading movies or videos. We actually also know a couple of people who took their Nintendo Switch, because why not? Everything is better than scrolling TikTok for 10 hours. Traveling can be incredibly exhausting. You will be tired all the time. Jet lag, sleep quality is just never the same as it is at home. Believe it or not, you will want to get up pretty early very frequently. All of the exploring and all of the heat and the sun and the Bali belly and the mosquito bites, all of this will obviously be exhausting. But the other thing that usually gets to people at some point is mental exhaustion. Being overstimulated all the time, experiencing travel fatigue, and at some point not being able anymore to process all the new impressions every single day. It happened to us multiple times. Luckily, the solution for that one is super easy. Just plan for breaks more often than you might initially think necessary, and make them long enough so that you can really unwind and arrive somewhere. Don't follow other people's recommendations. Okay, I realize this sounds very rude, but what I'm trying to say here is that other people often have quite different preferences from us. They might tell you to go snorkeling, ziplining, diving, all of the stuff, but maybe that's just not for you. They might also have different skills from you and tell you that that particular hike was pretty easy and you should do it too, which might not really be the case. But also, people have very individual experiences and often don't even realize how much of their enjoyment of a certain place was due to certain circumstances. I'm talking about their amazing tour guide who explained everything so well, or the new friends they made on the tour, or the restaurant that they went to where they had so much fun. You might be unable to replicate these experiences, and so for you it'll just be like any other tour or palace or hike. So only go if you really want to go. That's it, friends. If you liked this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up, and if you would like more content like this, hit the subscribe button and we'll see you in the next one.